We're now headed to City Hall, where we had a sit-down talk with Mayor James Fiorentini.
Now, the last time we actually got together for Around Town anyway, we had more or less, you had projected your image of what you could do for Haverhill. Could you perhaps talk a little bit about that and whether you've accomplished it or what percentage of accomplishment you have made?
I'm very happy with the progress that we made. When we talked 4 years ago, we went down and looked at some of the old factory buildings in Haverhill, and I talked to you about a plan for today and a plan for tomorrow. If you remember, 3.5 years ago, the city was on the verge of receivership. The Bradford Fire Station was closed. The public library was threatened to be closed. The budget put forth by the mayor said that the library would close, the Citizen Center would close, the tree department of the city would close, and there was an awful lot of talk in the newspapers where a number of people predicted that the city would go into receivership. I put forth a plan for today that said we would avoid receivership and that we could do it without an override or a debt exclusion, and we succeeded. And I put forth a plan for tomorrow that said in the long run, what we need to do is improve our tax base. And look where we are 3.5 years later. Things certainly aren't perfect. We still have our problems. But we've taken old factory buildings that have been vacant for 70 years. I used to say they'd been vacant for 40 years, and my dad, who was my greatest fan but also my greatest critic, called me up and said, no, it's not 40, it's 70. But we took buildings that have been vacant for 70 years. We used brownfields funding exactly as we promised we would, and we restored them to the tax rolls. And if you go down today to the corner of Walnut and Locust Street, you're going to see what's now called the Cordovan project, where Fifth Avenue Shoe was and where Cabot Furniture once was. It's $200,000 in additional taxes, and it's a terrific project. We said that we'd give people a place to shop and improve our tax base. And look where we are. The 3 largest retailers ever to open in the city, BJ's, Target, and Lowe's, all open this year. It is the largest retail expansion in the history of the city. The Bradford Fire Station is open and is going to stay open. The library is not only opened, it's fully funded for the first time in years. We've done all of this without laying off a single person and without an override or debt exclusion, and I think that's what I'm proudest of.
What about the downtown section?
Well, I think we've made tremendous progress in the Washington Street, Wingate Street area. We have 16 restaurants downtown. I've always wanted to call it a restaurant zone, and I guess that's what it's become. New residents bring new business. That's how it works. If every new resident spends $50 in downtown restaurants, that sparks it. We've brought in millions of dollars in federal and state funding for new parking garage. We've now chosen a site which is across from Kruger's Flatbreads. We brought in $1.2 million in state funding, no local tax dollars used in any of these things, for a new boardwalk, and we break ground on the new boardwalk next spring. So we've made great progress. Our struggle is Merrimack Street. With people watching this who have been around town for a while, people my age and over consider Merrimack Street downtown. The younger people consider Washington and Wingate downtown. Our struggle is Merrimack Street, and Merrimack Street has had a series of declines, and we have some ideas, and we believe that Merrimack Street is going to be our next success story, but we've got a ways to go there. Mm-hmm.
Do you consider the Merrimack River as an asset, something that you will be looking into for further development in business?
I like to say that our future's in our past. Haverhill started along the Merrimack River, and before we were a shoe town, we were a shipbuilding town. We built a couple hundred ships a year. The Merrimack River is our greatest asset. As I mentioned, we're going to be breaking ground on a new boardwalk downtown next year. We've brought in new ramps, new boats. We have a harbor commission for the first time. We're hoping to bring in some commercial party boats, and we've worked with Congressman Meehan to get money. We hope it's a 10-year project to dredge the Merrimack River. So the Merrimack is our greatest asset, but it's not our only one.
The hospital. I'm using just one word, but I think you know what I'm getting at
just
here.
To get me to talk.
Right.
Well, it's our greatest asset, and it's a great asset to the city, no question. My dad was in the hospital. I took great care of him. But the hospital debt continues to be I've used the word albatross to continue to be an albatross along our finances. I'm glad we have a hospital, and we'll do what we can to preserve it. But we spend $6.5 million a year to pay for a hospital that we no longer own. And you know, there's certainly some mistakes that were made in the past. We can't undo those mistakes, but we just have to professionally manage our city and go forward. You know, one of the things, you asked me what I was proud of. One of the things I was proudest of is that when Moody's and Standard & Poor's came in, Moody's and Standard & Poor's are Wall Street agencies that rate the city's finances. They spend several days up here, then they spend weeks going over the finances. They come and meet with all of your officials. They compare you to other cities. They gave us the highest rating possible for any city in the country for good management and good management practices. And they specifically credited my administration. And we're very, very proud of that, some of the people that we've brought into City Hall here. We try to be good professional managers. Haverhill is a city on the move. That's our slogan, Haverhill's on the move. And we've got some great press in the Wall Street Journal, the Boston Globe, many, many other communities. People throughout the state are starting to realize what a terrific community we have here. And I hope the people of Haverhill recognize it too.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry.